These games today have been nothing less than just pure excitement coming down to the wire. We got some huge clutches, even that last one by Giannis. Making sure he played his cards absolutely perfect, forced them in the zone to go get him. But an off-spawn fight we haven't seen too much of so far. Monier and Lunex. Even though we haven't seen them go up against Marine and Cade, we have seen them come out on top more times than not, playing these games out. Marine just going on the full offensive. Cade is there to try to follow up on some damage. The Nitro Splash is dropping him around, but it doesn't look like he's gonna survive. And because of the Nitro, he does get the elimination.
To fall damage, he goes down. Marine now, from getting picked off as a solo in the previous match to coming out on top. This is what they needed to close out day one. You asked me, Jacob, but the thing is, what really matters is the prep now. Between day 1 and 2, you kind of get a sense of how these lobbies have been played out. And the potential for a comeback is massive with the point multiplier. So you really have to make your day 2 count. It matters more than anything for your grand finals. So for players like QNDX, Phantom, Kyto, and Hijoe, I don't think they're going to change much. They've both been contesting each other as much as they possibly could, but not a single duo kind of made it far enough for the Slurp Truck this time around. Interesting drop for both teams.
I wonder if that was intentional by Vision, QNDX, and Phantom. They are down 2-1 or 2-3 in the fights that we were talking about. Hijoe and Kyto having at least one more victory, a little bit more confidence. And this is big because you talk about changing things up for day 2. If it's 3-3, it almost leaves you asking a bunch of questions. One's going to get dropped. QNDX trying to fight back, but he has a massive health disadvantage. Kyto, it quickly ends that one with the Gatekeeper. So now they're up 4-2 going into day 2 tomorrow.
That Flowberry Fizz was crucial for Hijoe and Kyto to clean up that first engagement. But yeah, like you said, Jacob, I mean, you go into tomorrow, these duos don't really have too many more options because they've already planned out this early game so much that they kind of just have to take those fights and be more dominant than their opposing duo. But for other players that might have their drop spot uncontested, Easy and Akira not being one of them, I would assume those 2 eliminations are on Cammy and Seti.
Hey,
Cammy Seti's actually...
Don't assume. Oh, well... Takata knows everything. Takata knows everything just a little bit. Ah, man, just a rough day so far.
Yeah, they just did not have a good start. I'm curious to what they're going to change up tomorrow. Will they change their drop spot? Are they just going to change how they play the early game? It's possible to make a comeback with the format we currently have for grand finals, but they might have to make some impactful changes to do so. Eclipse now left alone. His duo partner has gone down. This is just a hunt to find him.
Yeah, Yakashi and Macia still around. Basically cleaned up some of those other eliminations. And even with Dexy still down, I'm not sure they know he's there, but Eclipse said, hey, I'm gonna have to come back for you a little later. We'll figure it out as time goes on. This situation is becoming more and more dangerous, especially with another team now moving into the mix.
Yeah, you can see Cheeps and Turtle are up above, looking to see if they can maybe potentially take some shots on some of the players below. But Dexy's going to end up getting finished off here. Turtle wants to clean up the loot, but Cheeps has even dropped down as well. So they've given up that higher ground position just to secure this loot, which makes me think they'll probably just keep on rotating from this point. Or are they going to go back? Looks like they will.
I feel like it could be
nothing
a
left to go back to.
A mixture of both. You just kind of backtrack, you get information. They do have the elevation that you were talking about. So there are teams nearby, but on this side of the map, it's a whole different biome. It's like a forest. You get in there, you get lost sometimes. It's easy to hide behind some of those trees. So even though they elevated themselves to get as much info as possible, I'm not sure they were actually able to acquire much.
You can see Mappy and Kiro kind of throwing their heels to where they're going to build that surge base, so they can reuse it. If you don't have cactuses, at least get extra heals, extra shields that you can use later on.
Uh-oh. Fight. Pablo and Bev is just getting a little bit more confident, and they hit a good shot to really start it off. And both of those guys are separated. He's quickly trying to break through one wall, but they're best at that one. They quickly back on out. Cone separating them. First knock's going to come through. Chap is down. Teeny's scrambling around by himself, and he's in a 1v2 situation. Pablo and Bevies have the strength and numbers, and they use them wisely, taking out both Chap and Teeny. And their last game of the day is done and over with. They're stuck watching like the rest of us.
Those are some huge eliminations because Chap and Teeny, you can see, we're 5th place on the leaderboard. And you know who was 6th, Jacob? Pablo and Bevies, eliminating the duo that was directly on top of them in the leaderboard. Swizzy Vanya as well, gonna pick up a quick elimination. That's huge.
Yeah, you gotta imagine Chap and Teeny at least gonna drop down to 6 with Pablo and Bevies being right on their tail. Swizzy and Vanya with the zone moving away. You see how they quickly made their rotation much faster than that last game where if it was in Brutal Beachhead, they stayed there for quite a long time. They know the terrain, and I feel like they don't fear going down on Surge as some of these other teams because I feel like Swizzy just has a plan for everything.
Oh. Having a plan is crucial for these matches, and I'm curious what I mentioned earlier to see how the plans change for these duos going into day 2, especially the ones that haven't seen as much success. Pixie Yanis, though, that headshot is going to be incredibly impactful for the amount of total damage they're going to need. Akira Easy shouldn't be too worried as they did pick up Camiseti right off the bat, but maybe it's the other way around where Swizzy and Vanya want more. And we know how aggressive this duo can get.
Actually a smart play. He quickly nitroed the wall. Yeah, if he could have got damage, that was good, but it's more of taking control over this entire bunker. He already stole it away from Akira and Easy. And they don't even want anything to do with this fight anymore. Yo, you can have it. We're gone. We're sorry. We didn't mean to take it. And Vanya and Swizzy said, nah. You're more than just sorry. We're going to continue to try to chase you around until you get far enough. There is a nitro ring there that they could try to use to continue to disengage, but Swizzy and Vanya are just feeling more and more confident as each and every day goes on, and there goes something to slow that confidence down just a little bit. Reality check.
Reality check. That's why you got to be aware of your surroundings. Third parties are always looking. We talked about you getting those options to take shots on the players rotating through, and you just cannot miss them in these grand finals if you want to keep your foot in the game. Walks and Ping. I mean, we talked a lot about Vico and Flixie throughout the day, but Walks and Ping, 2nd place, 1st place, 5th place, 7th place. I mean, when you talk about consistency, this duo has been all over it.
And you're 100% right, because if you kind of look at how much damage they've been able to do, 5,348 damage so far. And that, to me, is maybe just as surprising as this team throughout every game so far today. I know we still got this last one to play out. They have not taken Storm Surge damage one time today. They are making sure with these changes, they are running away as fast as they can and really not looking back.
Hey, it's working. It's clearly working. I think Levin mentioned it as well. They were actually used the Slurp Cacti, I believe, less than any other EU duo during the semifinals. They only used the Slurp Cacti one time, literally. That's a fact. So they did not need it for their success, and it's showing today.
This is another team right here that's kind of flying under the radar. Even though they don't have a massive amount of points, they started this game in about 10th place, and I was talking about the damage for everybody else. They haven't really taken Storm Surge either in 5 games so far, and they're doing just enough damage to make sure they don't have to worry about Storm Surge. It's not anything that blows your mind by any means, but the consistency is, as long as they can kind of capitalize on that fact, I feel like day 2 is going to be a good game for them.
Everything changes in day 2, Jacob. Just thinking about it, it's got me excited. One thing is the leaderboard now, but from what we've seen in previous majors with that change in format throughout day 1 and 2, you never know what's going to happen. Fico and Flixie, though, like Levin said, if they can get a pop-off game tomorrow, just like they did today, that might be what they need to finish in the 1st place spot.
Yeah, and they're only... Right now, Vico and Flixie at least are only 4 points down. And honestly, even looking at that whole leaderboard, some would be a little scared of the almost 80+ point differential between them and 5th place. But some of these players have been picking up 80, 90, 100+ point games. Now add in the 1.5 multiplier. These are going to be 120, 150+ point games. So it's going to be easy if you can catch that momentum and fire at the right time tomorrow to catch up on that leaderboard.
Hijoe continuing to just kind of farm up. The shots come through, doing a good job of blocking them out. Reckless, pretty calm. There's a lot of duos, but not too much aggression. Murstache Malabuka no longer contested, it seems. They were kind of contested halfway throughout the tournament. That might have thrown them off a little bit in terms of the game plan, but they were contested as well quite a bit during the qualifiers. So now they're back in business, back to their original game plan. So let's hope they can make the most out of it.
You see that 70% win rate off spawn this season. We're not talking about today, we're talking about this season. Showing how consistent they are and why they're uncontested. Even though they did have some contestation early on, that quickly went away as Vico Flixie did look like they tried to crash pad on top of a team. You cannot hear it coming, you don't see it coming. So it's a great way to surprise some opponents.
See Conversation Queasy sneaking up there a little bit. But so far, nothing too chaotic coming through as Vico actually is going to catch Sky off guard. They found him. You can only play hide and seek for so long.
I like the attempt. He was trying to use the door, hide behind the door. But Vico and Flixie, they're going to check everything. They're going to check doors, stairs, nooks, crannies, making sure that you can't hide in any crevice of the map overall. We just go from one side to the next. You see how the zone is pulling more and more on over towards the east. Geras and Chari. They don't have a single elimination just yet. But they're going to have, I want to say, a relatively easy chance to get to zone because they also have multiple chances at that mobility. They have multiple chances to kind of have nobody really contesting them. And if they have the crash pads on top of that, they can launch pad into a crash pad, into a nitro ring. So the distance they have to cover isn't so worrisome to me.
Gonna choose to play it slower, but like you said, the natural mobility that you get from those nitro rings allows you to be able to kind of just stay in zone a bit longer. The zones today have been a lot on the west side of the map. I think we had one north zone, which we were kind of hoping CZB and Nathan would get a pop-off game, but every other zone has basically been kind of west-southwest of the map. Quite consistent zone placements.
I like the idea, just kind of recharge the nitro a little bit. Wasn't necessarily in the right direction, but you're able to save some resources. You're able to look for any cactuses that might be left behind. Let's take a look at Rift Island. Orzen and Guden this time. Guden Breath, one of the first ones, I do believe, making their presence known on top of Rift Island. Better late than never, especially since you got 164 points. Yeah, might not be in reach here for day one to take the top spot in the leaderboard, but as long as you close that gap in this last game, you're giving yourself a fighting chance.
Sheep's Turtle gonna choose to take one of those rifts down to the Rift Island. Will they play aggressive towards the flag, though? I'm not sure. Vico Flixie now. Looks like we're able to pick up another elimination, if I'm not mistaken here, Jacob. Seems like it could be on the Panzer.
Yeah, saw him as a solo. Quickly kind of trapped himself in that building knowing, hey, you're either going to come out one of these doors. They just instantly moved in the same direction he did and just kind of took him out. Easy cleanup for them. And since the zone is kind of moving in their direction, they don't have to worry about much just yet.
Walks and Ping. We talked about it earlier. They used the cactuses less than any other duo in the semifinals, having just used them one time. But then you have duos like Clown and Axe Force that used it 250 times in the semifinals. Even if you want to talk about NA, Cooper and Kanata 385 times. So you can see the kind of change in meta has impacted some duos more than others. The good news for Ping and Walks, though, is being in first place. It's all about just maintaining your spot. You don't need any huge pop-off game. All you gotta do is play it like you've been. Pablo, though, what went wrong here, Jacob?
Yeah, I don't really know how Bebby went down, but I saw him just trying to beeline it over towards the Nitrodrome area. But two other teams went in that direction. He doesn't want to reboot there, so he's kind of stuck. Stuck left wandering around, trying to pick and choose which direction I go. He doesn't have a lot of HP either, so a lot of things are looking like they're stacking up against Pablo and Bevies in this situation and a chance at a reboot.
Hey, I'd like to see it happen, though. Quick little reboot. Game 6 of day 1 to make a potential comeback. 198 points. They were in 6th place going into this match. Earlier on, if you remember, they eliminated Chapentini, who were in 5th place, right above them. So if they're able to get a decent end game here, it could push them into the top 5.
I think that should be that'd be a good goal. Top 5, top 10, depending on what the point spread is down below. Especially if you didn't necessarily start off the day hot and you're really kind of stuck trying to pick up the pace, make up for that lost time. And even with the North Pole, it did move over towards the east side of the map. We see Pixie Yanis not straying too far away from Brawler's Battleground. They know a team is positioned up on that mountain for the launch pad, so they're not wasting any time going up there. They're making sure to keep themselves positioned with the natural mountainside that's here, so that way nobody, virtually nobody, is going to see them make this rotation.
Well, that's a good thing, but also a bad thing. I mean, they're going to have a lot of cover. They're not going to use a lot of materials or shield. But what I was going to say is the issue is you're not even going to get a lot of options to take shots at your opponents. But seeing that they're 518 above the Storm Surge threshold, that could be the deciding factor on why they're taking more of that uncontested route. Quick elim for Vico, bumping them up to 3 now.
Those are massive points. Because remember, it was 4 points that separated them and first place. So you almost got to imagine with the eliminations that they're picking up, a little bit more so than ping and walks. During the course of this game so far, they might have taken it back.
I think they would have. I mean, if your calculations are correct, they got 3 eliminations, so already 12 more points added to what they started off in. Mapi Kiro, though, make their way into zone. Nice and clean rotate. As if we look at ping and walks now, 0 eliminations. But they're looking healthy. They're playing for the late game, Jacob. They're playing it out. Calm, collected, secure. What's scary, though, is there's so many duos around them here that at any moment, a brawl could commence. And with that crack, Ping's going to have to take a step back and recuperate that shield that was lost.
Yeah, they're in first place now, but it's not necessarily by eliminations. It's their consistency that's keeping them ahead. This Force is just basically stuck by himself. He was trying to get a little bit more aggressive, back down that team, but other players in the lobby are now seeing they got a distance to travel. They're far away from zone, and it's getting very, very chaotic. So let's join in on the front. Even if they don't pick up the elimination or get any of the loot, that's just one less player, one less team that'll be in their path to the end game.
Emil now seeing what he can do to close this one out. 100 shield, 16 HP. Has the mythic hand cannon from that Rift Island. But can he hit the shots? Turtle's down below, not too much HP or shield. But Sheeps is still up. It's a full duo. There's not too many options here.
Yeah, he's above Surge, so he doesn't necessarily need to make the risk to drop down and try to grab it. But as he rotates off one position, the team elevated high up on that mountain, beginning to focus out all of these players that are staggering themselves back. They have the option to do the same thing as well, as long as they have a crash pad to make their distance there. And for everybody that's getting stuck, it's going to come exponentially harder for them to try to make their way to a zone if they don't have a crash pad.
Oh, Walks and Ping, they did use that crash pad, but it was the end of Ping. He got eliminated right out of the sky, leaving Walks alone now. He popped the med kit, but quick enough, he's forced to cancel it, and now right back to the lobby. Turtle and Sheeps are going to be the ones to clean them up.
We had first place go down, 5th place already out, opening up opportunities for to climb up that leaderboard. Turtle's getting aggressive, even missing some shield and HP, but that's not slowing or stopping him down. Juice just trying to get away. Crash pad's just in the nick of time to reach the top of that mountain and slow Turtle down just a little bit.
Medkit's gonna be traded now. The potential to recuperate that HP and shield. Issue is them being kind of on the bottom end of this ridge. Also with the zone point to the opposite side of the map, they not only have to elevate themselves, but also find a way across the zone.
See the leaderboard shaking things out. It's actually 2nd and 5th now gone as Vico and Flixie took first throughout the course of this game. Cheeps and Turtle just trying to make their way up the mountain. They don't have a ton of resources, so they got to cycle where they can. A couple rocks they could farm up on the way, but other players might not be so lucky. They don't have a full duo. They're by themselves as a solo, forced to make a rotation. And even without Flowberry Fizz this time around, Pablo's going to have to do these multiple times if he's looking to make it safely to zone.
That's exactly what he's going to choose to do. He had lost bevies earlier on, so he has been playing this out as a solo for a significant amount of time, which also has led him to be below the Storm Surge threshold. But now, as the pressure's on him, there's so many duos that are going to change focus. He cannot get cracked here. The pressure will continue. Builds come through. He's left on wood now. It doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. He needs to relocate.
He still finds himself up the threshold somehow, some way. But the focus hasn't stopped. He thought he found somewhere to hide, but Malibuca and Mustache are just waiting right above. They open up that edit, grab that elimination. 268 above the damage threshold. And for a team that is good as they are, it's better late than never to start to build that momentum before day 2.
Mustache Malibuca, 8th place going into this match. They're top 10, but I'd like to see them a bit higher. Seeing how they're set up so far in this late game, if they get a decent placement, it should be more than enough to push them up to top 5, seeing that already 2 out of our top 5 duos have been knocked out of this last match. We have Yanis and Pixie, though, being one of the top 3 currently that are still looking strong.
She's got a lot of heavy hitters out of the lob. We've got 1st down, 5th through 8th down, 10th through 12th down. This is best case scenario for everybody at the bottom half of that leaderboard to try to pick up the pace, close the gap as much as possible. But while I'm talking about that, Swizzy and Vanya have a chance to do the opposite. Started this game in about 4th place. They have a chance to try to take that top spot. And it was in last major. It was much more of a gap, but they led after day 1 and eventually won that major championship.
Flowberry gonna come through, comboed with the crash pad to make it the zone. This is a difficult zone because there's so many changes in elevation, sudden changes that you have to plan ahead of time. You need that extra time to focus on that rotation. Vico and Flixie, though, gonna look back and take those shots of the players rotating in. They already have 3 eliminations, so it's not crucial to them. But a little bit extra loot can always help out.
Yeah, and they have the Flowberry Fizz. They have the crash pad. It's not going to be long before they find their spot in the zone. They're even waiting for some of it to open up. They have more than enough damage, I think, for the rest of this game. So for them, all they're focusing on one thing, and that's winning this game.
531 above, as Vanya and Swizzy are going to be the ones that once again want to try and claim this height in the 8th zone of the match. Will they be able to hold on this time around, though? It really depends on where this zone pulls. In the last game, it pulled far from them. If it pulls back this time, it could be more than enough.
You know what they say, those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Hopefully this time around they got some HP or at least a plan B. Because right now it is looking very, very similar to that last game. But he hears somebody down there making a lot of noise, tries to reconnect, making sure they are safe as can be for now. But the zone once again pulling off and forward into those mountains. They're going to have to move off of that high ground eventually.
I think they still want it, though. They've been chopped out, so now they're forced to use that Nitro to make their way into zone. They have 2 options. They build up once again ahead, or they give it up. For Thomas HD and Queasy, though, they have to be careful, as Queasy is just 1 HP.
Yep. Waiting a few seconds. Thomas knows they still need to rotate. You have to be very, very precise when you do get that edit. Hijoe, Kyto, Kiro, Mappy, everybody flying through the sky. Nobody really has a chance to contest Swizzy and Vanya just yet. And I say yet because it is the night zone. There's plenty of time to make that a possibility.
Mappy now, 112 above. They can continue to look for options here. It's going to be Vidil and Reason that are right beside their box. Vico's gone down. Flixie's left alone, stuck in the sand now, forced to tarp ahead. Good news is, he has materials, he has damage, but without a duo, he has to play strategic.
Hey, it's time for him to return the favor. You saw there in the game, Vico picking up huge points as a solo, which even puts them in the position that they're in now. Zone pulling back, things looking good for Flixie. But not everybody else having that same type of feeling. Hijoe, Kyto, even Malibuca Mustache once again trying to move forward in the zone. Queasy's going to be down. Thomas has to make the decision. Do I go and try to be a hero or leave him by himself? And it looks like that decision's made. I have to do the rest of this by myself.
The solo now. Can he make it far, though? He only has 15 builds. It's basically just wood. It's going to be Pixie and Jens, though, that are second height. You can see them. They want it, but the issue is there's another duo on the layer. It's stopping them from looking above. It's stopping them for going for that high ground retake.
Yeah, Thomas's solo heroics are going to be cut short. He gets taken down. At least they're able to get some placement points here in this game. Looking through everybody else, just try to find a way to climb up that mountain. Anything is better than nothing, even if you Flowberry Fizz, Crash Pad. It might be a little bit too late for that unless you're going for high ground, and that's exactly what Kyto and Hijoe are going to do. They've taken down Swizzy, they've dropped Vanyak, and now they've sealed their fate.
What went wrong for Swizzy and Vanya? They were looking so strong. They were looking so solid up above, but all of a sudden, Kyto, Hijoe, from the difficulties off spawn to now claiming the high ground in the most crucial moment of a late game.
This is big right here. Even Flixie just trying to go through with just a sliver of actual health and HP. Find some scraps to try to get him, but no builds. Fresh out. He gets his nice shot on the flank, but he's going to go down. Swizzy's the one to take him out overall. Malibuka drops as well, but Swizzy's still trying to find a way to hold on strong.
32 effective HP and shield. Just one tick to the storm is all it's going to take. He goes down. CZB Nathan, though, one of the other duos holding up strong down below, but it's going to be Hijoe and Kyto who need to close it out.
They're in the driver's seat here. They have the nitros. They can drop down when they want to, but they go ahead, find those mats. That was the perfect moment, but Hijoe takes some shots from that flank, quickly builds up, elevates himself. He doesn't want to get stuck in that chaos that is down below. Nathan, CZB, they're trying to have an easier game, but they get picked apart by two different teams.
It's now or never. Hijoe, Kyto have to capitalize on the chaos that's being done down below, but Pixie's left with just 10 HP. It's going to take one solid shot to clean him up.
Oh my, he just barely goes down. Hijoe versus Hijoe, 1v1 situation. Big shot's gonna be fired. Hijoe goes up. He has the medkits, he has the minis, and even a crash pad to get himself outside of zone, but Hijoe's at the bottom. This building is just gonna stalemate this just a little bit, and it's a blessing. It allows him to pop a few bandages, give him more of a fighting chance here, but Hijoe's above. He's not giving up on this play. He said, I have high ground. I have this game in the bag.
Hijoe and Kyto, they were getting a little stressed out there in the last moments. Hijoe was left alone, but he focused up, he locked in, charged up, and finished it off with that last shot to secure himself the final victory royale of day one.
Hey, we were talking about moments in the match. You have to take advantage and really execute to perfection. Contested 6 out of 6 games. They win 4-2 off spawn. And in the final game of the day, the last chance to make up any point gap, they seal the deal. And that is a huge confidence boost going into day 2.
And that's exactly what you need to do when you're contested in a drop spot like the one they're playing at. They need those massive pop-up games if they want to be in the upper end of the leaderboard, and that is exactly what they were able to do.
With Cone Edit, baits out the shot. Gatekeeper versus Hammer. He goes back to back, and look at the celebration. I don't even know if it's nap time just yet.
I don't think so. You can see the excitement from both players. Now all they have to do is continue that momentum for day 2. I'm not sure how much it's going to bump them up the leaderboard, but a victory royale like that is definitely going to be great. But before we check out the leaderboard, Jacob, we're going to head right back to Frankie, Levin, and Minnie because they got to break down what we just saw.